people in the university.
Oh yeah.
To get like the children of very wealthy families into the schools, their grades were included out. So he was basically bribing like it. He was portraying all the kids as like super athletes, even though they're never played the sport.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And he was basically bribing the coaches so the kids couldn't actually be on the team, but they would get like extra points and they're more likely to be able to because they're like super extreme athletes and specifically focused on niche sports.
Like yachting and polo, water polo.
It's super interesting.
And of course, it's something we talk about in the other class because America likes to believe it's in its romantic self-image that characterize American symbols and American political rhetoric, that we're all about meritocracy. It's all about how well you perform. We don't care about your background. We don't care about your mother or your father. What can you do? And of course, we do care about your mother and your father. So for example, I think I saw like 1/3 of the seats of admissions into Harvard, you know, the most prestigious university in the United States, goes to people who are the children of previous graduates from Harvard. And they have a special benefit just because they're the sons and daughters of the previous graduates from Harvard to be admitted into Harvard. And I met some people from Harvard that got degrees in Harvard, and they didn't overly impress me. And of course, also, if you give money to sports, or you donate money to the university, I should say, that the university can give you some kind of benefit for also coming into the university. That was the defense that these people that bribed or provided money through this bribery scandal. They are arguing they didn't know it was illegal. They thought they were doing what was common in the US. They were donating money to the university, and that gives you a benefit to be able to enter the university. And so but this is not the case, obviously, in my case. My nephew is not from a rich family, and you hear these. I'm hearing these tings on the computer because of the reports are coming in about offers he's getting from small good schools in Ohio to play football on scholarship. They're all coming in now. So all right, but back to this debate that we just had. I want to clarify a couple of things. I think I made a comment last class that Georgia has not voted for a Democrat since 1976 for president, and Jimmy Carter of Georgia ran for president. That's incorrect. I'm sorry. Bill Clinton also won in 1992 when he was running for president, but he was also a Southerner. He was the governor of Arkansas, the former governor of the state of Arkansas, another state that broke away from the United States in attempting to create their own slave republic, the Confederate States of America. So Georgia did vote in 1992 for a Democrat, Bill Clinton, from the South to be president. Also, in that American politics is changing very rapidly and quickly. And in that video that I was showing you from 7 years ago, it said it's a party affiliation is becoming less important. That's no longer true. Party affiliation has become, self-identification, being either Republican or Democrat, is becoming intensely important in American historical context, in American society today. I mean, there's been lots of reports and research being published in the New York Times about how more and more people, majorities of people would be disappointed if I'm a Republican and my daughter married a Democrat boy. I would be unhappy. I would resist it. More and more of those types of intense emotional dislike for the opposition, the more and more separation of people moving to live in communities where they're surrounded by people like them in terms of their political affiliation, either Republicans or Democrats. So this identity polarization may have been declining in the past. And I'm old enough, I remember when party affiliation appeared to be less and less important, but it's become more and more important. And that's the theme in your reading for this last part of the course in these chapters about the importance of party identification and ID in self-identification in determining how voters will behave in elections. And it's becoming more national, that you find more Democrats concentrated in urban and more educated, regardless if they're in Omaha, Nebraska, or in New York City, you're going to find a lot of Democrats in Omaha because it's a big city, like you find in New York. And I should also mention that it just reminded myself, I mentioned that Georgia did vote for Bill Clinton to become president in 1992, 30 years ago. But his vice president, Al Gore, a Democratic senator, Al Gore, you know, who talks about climate change and so on, he was his vice president of Bill Clinton from a family that has a long history in Tennessee, a political dynasty like the Kennedy family in Massachusetts. And he ran for president in 2000, and he could not even win his own state. He lost Tennessee, the state of Tennessee that he represented in Congress. The state of Tennessee didn't even vote for Al Gore to be president in 2000. And that's more evidence of this increasing polarization in identity around national issues, because Al Gore was also, of course, an advocate of strong measures to address human-caused climate change and greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. And of course, there's a lot of coal industry, big coal industry in Appalachia, in Tennessee, in Kentucky, in particular, those two states, coal industry, West Virginia is very, very important. So even though he was the senator from Tennessee, Tennessee did not vote for Al Gore for president. Those are important points to keep in mind. And I wanted to show you all something from that was just reported yesterday. I made some comments about how it seems, oh, if Donald Trump decides to run for president, there's no way anybody's going to challenge him, that the political campaign is already over, in the sense the primary, because if Donald Trump runs, nobody will seriously challenge him. So we won't have an exciting primary season like we had with the Democrats, with Joe Biden running for president. And then this report came out, which is indicating that maybe that is a slight overstatement. There is moves by certain Republicans to challenge, or not challenge, but to prepare themselves for running for president in 2024. And you know, the first chapter in your reading in the textbook for the second half of the class talks about the invisible primary, It's the political campaigning before the official primary campaigning season begins. Before candidates openly declare, I am running for president, and that's already started with the Republicans. And so you see Republican candidates like Mike Pence, Donald Trump's vice president, the former Republican governor of Indiana, very religious, portrays himself as very conservative, evangelical Christian. He is going to Iowa, and these other individuals are going to Iowa, the first state traditionally that has its first primary, or the first primary season political selection process. They're already now going here in May 2022, going to Iowa to begin to the invisible primary. Make themselves available, answer questions, look viable, look worth supporting, talk to people, see if they can get interest from people to donate money to their campaign, even though they have not officially declared that they're running for president. And after 4 years of service bordering on subservience, Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence, the increasingly emboldened Mr. Pence is seeking to reintroduce himself to Republican voters ahead of a potential presidential bid by setting himself apart from what many in the GOP is another nickname for the Republican Party. It stands for Grand Old Party, Grand G Old O P Party, right? Grand Old Party. Setting himself apart from what many in the GOP see as the worst impulses of Mr. Trump. He's among a small group of in his party considering a run in 2024, no matter what Mr. Trump decides. So if Trump decides to run, is it hopeless to defeat him? And that's why another reason why we're really interested in the Republican primary elections going on right now, that are going on through the summer, that are happening, for example, today in Georgia, where Donald Trump hates the current governor of Georgia, Governor Brian Kemp, a Republican governor, because Brian Kemp did not support Donald Trump's claim that the election was stolen from Donald Trump in Georgia by election fraud. Brian Kemp and other Republican politicians denied Trump's claim, refused to support Trump's claim, and Donald Trump wants him to fail in the election going on today. Today is the day they're having the Republican primary, first election primary Republican governor primary election in Georgia. And Donald Trump wants him to lose. Donald Trump has supported someone else, former Senator David Perdue, that I think Jim Ossoff, who I described, at the last class, beat in the January, in the November 2020, January 2021 elections. He was beaten as a senator by Joe Ossoff, and now he's running for governor in Georgia. And Donald Trump has really put in money to help him, to try to get him elected, to beat him. And looks like this man is going to win, and probably win overwhelmingly, despite Donald Trump's intense support for David Perdue. And that will be a big marker. That will be a marker to many people, would be a signifier that Donald Trump is not the overwhelmingly powerful Republican controller that he is. However, in the same article, they highlight still about 1/3 of the self-identified Republicans in the United States, they love Donald Trump. He will get 1/3 of their vote. And if many people are running for president in 2024, he will get a plurality. He could get a plurality. Remember, not a majority, just more votes than anybody else. That's how we have elections in the United States, in our plurality system. You don't have to get a majority typically, although there are exceptions, like there is an exception in Georgia, actually. But if he's running for Republican nomination to be the candidate in 2024, if he has 1/3 of Republicans are going to vote for him, that's really important, particularly if he's running against 4 or 5 other people like Mike Pence and and Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, and other potential candidates that are mentioned here. But I just wanted to show you here how the invisible primary has already started for 2024. And and Mike Pence, he was pressured by Donald Trump and his supporters to overturn the results of the election, to deny the Electoral College votes, because on January 6, 2021, according to the law adopted in the late 19th century, Mike Pence, as vice president presiding over the Senate, is supposed to then read the Electoral College results in a ritual. It's a ceremony. And they pressured Mike Pence not to accept the Electoral College votes, and he refused to do that. And of course, the people that stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021, they were carrying signs, "Hang Mike Pence." They prepared a noose to hang him, to kill him, because Mike Pence was not doing what Donald Trump wanted him to do. And so just to show you that this is now underway, Mr. Pence first used his high-profile speeches to criticize the former president's push to overturn the 2020 election results, stating flatly that Mr. Trump was wrong in his assertion that Mr. Pence could have blocked the Electoral College ratification on January 6th, 2021. Mr. Pence then unsettledly visited the Charlottesville, Virginia memorial to Heather Heyer, who was killed in 2017 white supremacist riot that Mr. Trump sought to rationalize by faulting both sides. By the way, Charlottesville, Virginia, that's the home of the University of Virginia. The University of Virginia is the site of Larry Sabato's crystal ball. University of Virginia Center for Politics. The authors of your book are all affiliated with that University of Virginia Center for Politics. University of Virginia is in Charlottesville, Virginia. So Sabato has had some interesting things to say about that event in 2017, when there was a white supremacist riot that killed a woman that was protesting against them. Now on Monday outside Atlanta, Mr. Pence is taking his boldest and most ambiguous step toward confronting his former political patron. And so that summarizes the point I made earlier. I already talked about this. And so could it be Mr. Pence take on Donald Trump if he runs for president? Could he beat him? There are others, of course. Chris Christie, another former governor of New Jersey, Republican, he's talking about running again for president in 2024, sorry. Who else is mentioned here? Not really anybody I can see. but you can see that I just wanted to highlight that the invisible primary has already begun. And we're waiting to see if indeed Governor Brian Kemp defeats and overrides Trump's desire for vengeance against him for not supporting his effort to overturn the election. Okay, that's it for today. Okay, so bye.